Good, very early morning, passengers, and thank you for choosing SK Airlines. Just a quick reminder that this flight will be heading from Transylvania to Morocco for a quick pit stop before concluding its final destination to Maine. We ask all of you to please be seated and strap in as we will be taking off shortly. Next stop will be approximately 3.5 hours.
Hello? Hey man, just wanted to say have a good flight and we'll be seeing you shortly. Hey, by the way, you ever seen the movie Final Destination?
Fuck you, man.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I'm Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. The Night Flier is a 1997 film that's based off of a Stephen King story. In my recollection, I'm pretty sure it's a short story of his. And it is certainly in one of his film adaptations that is in the top tier of them. See, Stephen King adaptations, when it comes to film, is one side or the other. Either they're magnificent, like The Shining and Pet Cemetery level, or they're absolute ridiculousness, pretty much, to say the least. And this one, like I said, is in the top tier, and this is one heck of a hidden gem, if I must say so myself. I'm balancing between a 4 out of 5 and a 4.5 out of 5, but I think it's pretty much leaning into that 4.5 out of 5. What we have going on here is basically we have this reporter, and he's very kind of cynical. He's very much into himself, and he thinks he's like the king shit when it comes to being a journalist kind of thing. I mean, this guy walks around and speaks as if he's like the biggest detective that the FBI has to offer kind of thing. You would think he's like Brad Pitt in Seven kind of thing, the way he acts and the way he talks to people. And you're just like, dude, you're a friggin' journalist, like calm down. Regardless, he comes across this case where there's supposedly some kind of killer who leaves bodies behind, and the bodies are drained of blood. And the whole situation when it comes to these killings are very strange because these victims have like this giant hole in their neck, and it seems like they were pierced by like basically an elephant horn kind of thing. Like it's just the biggest bite mark that they can have, and it's nothing adds up when it comes to their blood being drained kind of thing. He also basically low-key steals the report to himself because there's this other female journalist as well who had it to herself, and he just comes in and his boss basically takes it from her and gives it to him, but he pretty much stole it in the first place. And eventually she ends up joining him in this whole report and this whole investigation kind of thing. But he's following this guy around and trying to get to him kind of thing. Essentially it's a vampire, but he's very like skeptical on that. Like he's very about facts and stuff like that. He doesn't believe it's a vampire, even though everything suggests and it's obvious that it's a vampire kind of thing. The creature effects in this film are spectacular. This film, it would be a TV film, and like I've said in previous films, it has that TV film style, but it's obviously not because there's cussing, there's gore galore that you wouldn't see in a TV film kind of thing. And let me talk about the gore. I mean, like, when it comes to the kills, they are brutal. Like, the way they do the practical effects, and I love my practical effects in this film, is something that elevates this film to an entire other level. The only thing that's strange about this film is, like, you get some hokey acting kind of thing. One of my favorite scenes is when the lead guy Richard is at a bar, and this vampire keeps leaving Richard notes like "Stay away. This is your last warning. Like, don't investigate me," kind of thing. And he's at a bar, and somebody, the vampire obviously, orders him a Caesar when he's drinking like whiskey or bourbon or something like that. And the bartender brings him a Caesar with celery in it, and he's like, "The fuck is this shit?" And the bartender's like, "That guy ordered it for you." And then he looks and he's like, "Oh, I swear, he was just there." And Richard, the main guy, he just gets off his chair, he grabs the bartender, he's like, "Who was there? Where did he go? Where did he go?" It's so cheesy. And there's moments like that throughout this entire film. There's a part in a cemetery when the main guy Richard cuts his finger and starts to like wipe the blood onto the epitaph or whatever it is, and then the graveyard like keeper kind of thing comes along and he has a shovel and he's like, "Around here we respect the dead, man, so you better keep it moving," kind of thing. It's just like the way certain lines are delivered in this film are just so hilarious. You can't really tell if it was like a director's decision or if it was like the actor's decision kind of thing, but that's the thing about Stephen King films when it comes to adapting them. Like, Stephen King writes in a certain way that it makes a lot of sense on paper, on the page, but a lot of directors have a very hard time adapting it to screen to make it have the same impact kind of thing. And I think this film probably struggled with a little bit of that when it came to adapting the story to film. But what the director did right is the creature effects and making this film terrifying. And probably the best aspect of this film, in my opinion, is the ending where our main character Richard drinks a little bit of the vampire's blood. The vampire reveal is amazing, by the way. His face, the way like all the practical effects that the makeup designer and the makeup effects person made on this vampire looks spectacular. But my favorite scene is basically the whole climax of the film where the whole thing goes black and white and you have our main guy Richard basically being overrun and I guess attacked by all of the victims, like the previous victims of the vampires, and they're all like zombified and they're coming after him slowly, and he has an axe and he just massacres all these zombie victims that the previous vampire had killed kind of thing. But it ends up being a hallucination and the police show up and he actually massacred like like a bunch of random people kind of thing, and they shoot him down and the female reporter shows up and you have this whole like final climax of like the big line, never believe what you publish, never publish what you believe. I'm sorry if I'm making a mistake on that line, but it's like the biggest line of the film kind of thing. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not taking notes for these reviews. But I really, really had a good time with this film, and its practical effects and its gore is among the best in Stephen King adaptations kind of thing. And I'm surprised this one doesn't get talked about more. Like, all I could find was a DVD of it. Like, I don't think this thing is released on Blu-ray or anything else, and I just discovered it maybe 2 months ago. And when I added it to my 31 Days of Horror kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very shocked that this one doesn't get talked about more. I haven't read the short story or what it's based on, but I'm very interested in checking that out for sure. And I would easily say that this film is in the top tier of my 31 Days of Horror for sure. Like I said, either a 4 or a 4.5, but I'm leaning more to the 4.5 because this one is just so damn impactful, and it delivers that horror like exactly in the way you want it to, especially based off of a Stephen King kind of story. Like I said, the acting is up and down. There's some very cheesy moments, but there is a lot of cheesy moments in a lot of Stephen King adaptations, and I'm not sure exactly, like I said, if that's the difficulty of translating it to screen from the page, but other than that, this is a well done horror film, and this is one to check out, and it's an unbelievably huge hidden gem in my opinion. So that's day 11. I had a really good time with this film. I'm glad that I'm having a lot more hits than misses with this 31 Days of Horror. Usually it's kind of balanced, but so far so good with everything that I've seen, and I've been having a great time. So stay tuned for day 12. We are going back to another high school based film, and probably will have a little bit of nostalgia. I've never seen it, obviously, but it might have a little bit of nostalgia for many people who grew up between the 2000 and 2010s era. So just a little clue and a hint on that one. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you'd like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.